How could you humiliate us like that? My mother texted me 3 days after I destroyed my family's dinner party. I stared at those words on my phone screen, sitting in my car outside the lake house where my godparents lived. The same godparents who had just inherited everything my blood family thought they were entitled to. I typed back 3 words: I learned from you. But let me back up. Let me tell you how a family dinner became a battlefield, and how I turned 10 years of financial abuse into the most satisfying revenge of my life. It started with an inheritance. Not money, not land, but debt and silence. My name is Sarah, and for 32 years, I believed family meant sacrifice. I believed love was measured in dollar signs and bank transfers. I believed that being the successful one meant being the family ATM, always open, never questioning, perpetually available for withdrawal. My brother Nate was the golden child, 3 years older, charming in that lazy way that made people want to help him. My sister Jenna was the baby, 5 years younger, beautiful, and blessed with the kind of helplessness that made people rush to her rescue. Then there was me, the middle child, the accountant, the one who had it all together, which, in my family's language, meant I was the one who had money and no legitimate reason to keep it. It started when I was 22, fresh out of college with my CPA and a job at a mid-sized firm. Dad got sick, not life-threatening, just expensive. Diabetes complications that required specialists and medications insurance didn't fully cover. Mom called me crying about the bills. I wrote a check for $3,000 without thinking twice. It felt like love. That was my first mistake. 6 months later, Nate called me at 2 a.m., drunk and panicking about a hit-and-run accident. The lawyer said he needed $5,000 or he'd lose his license. I reached for my checkbook again. He never paid me back, but he did call me again and again. Jenna's first crisis was different. She called crying about student loans and credit card debt. I'm not asking for money, she said. I'm asking for hope. I paid off $12,000 in credit card debt for her. She made exactly one payment of $100 before she stopped answering my texts about money. By age 28, I had a spreadsheet. Dad's medical expenses, $15,000. Nate's emergencies, $23,000. Jenna's lifestyle support, $18,000. Mom's shopping addiction, $8,000. $64,000 in 6 years. More than most people had in their retirement accounts. The wake-up call should have come when I was 30. I was dating Marcus, and I brought him to Thanksgiving dinner. He watched in horror as my family casually discussed my money like it was theirs. When's the last time they supported you? He asked afterward. I couldn't answer that question, because the truth was they never had. Marcus and I broke up 3 months later. He could see what I couldn't. I was so busy being the family ATM that I'd forgotten how to be a person. The real wake-up call came when I was 31, and Nate asked me to cosign on a house. I can't do that, Nate. That's too much risk. Risk? Sarah, I'm your brother. We're family, but if you can't qualify on your own, I just need someone to vouch for me. I looked at my spreadsheet. I looked at my empty savings account and my stress-induced insomnia. I can't do it, Nate. I'm sorry. The silence was deafening. I can't believe you're being this selfish, he said finally. After everything we've been through. What have you done for me? I've been your brother. I've been your family. He hung up. Within an hour, I had texts from Mom, Dad, and Jenna, all variations on the same theme. How could I be so selfish? How could I abandon family? That night, I was blocked from the family group chat. My calls went to voicemail. My texts went unanswered. I was exiled, cast out, forgotten. For 6 months, I didn't exist to them. No birthday call, no holiday invitation, no casual check-ins. It was the most peaceful 6 months of my life. The text came on a Wednesday in October, dinner at ours. Everyone will be there. Be nice to Nate. It's his birthday. From Mom. No, we miss you. No, we're sorry. Just a command disguised as an invitation that I didn't reply to the text. But I started planning. First, I called my godparents, Robert and Linda Chun. They had been my parents' college friends and more consistent in my life than my actual parents. They remembered my birthday when my family forgot, came to my graduation when my parents were busy with Nate's latest crisis. How would you feel about being named as beneficiaries in my will? I asked them. After I explained everything, Linda asked, "Are you sure about this?" Family relationships are complicated. That's exactly why I'm sure, I said. This relationship has been permanently one-sided for 10 years. Second, I called my lawyer, David Kim. I want to revoke some legal documents, I said. Power of attorney, medical directives, beneficiary designations, everything. That's a big step, Sarah. I'm sure. And I want to do it dramatically. Third, I gathered evidence. Screenshots of every text message where they'd mocked me. Bank records of every payment. Email receipts for every wire transfer. Then I found something interesting. Nate had used my name and social security number to do a soft credit check for a mortgage pre-approval. Without my knowledge. Without my consent. He'd also applied for a job at a competing firm, listing unstable family finances as a reason for leaving his current position. I spent the next week putting together my presentation. 7 envelopes, 7 revelations, 7 years of carefully documented financial abuse. The day before the dinner, I drove to my godparents' lakefront house. "Are you nervous?" Linda asked. "No," I said. "I'm excited. For the first time in years, I feel like I have control over my own life." Friday evening, I dressed carefully. Black slacks, white blouse, black blazer. Professional. Serious. I looked like I was going to a board meeting. Because in a way I was. The door opened before I could knock. Mom stood there in her favorite floral dress, smiling that warm on the surface, calculating underneath smile. "Sarah." "Oh, honey, we've missed you so much." The house looked exactly the same, but I felt different walking through it. Like I was visiting a museum of my former life. In the kitchen, Nate was opening wine. His smile faltered when he saw me. "Hey, Sarah. Thanks for coming." "Happy birthday," I said. Amy, his kindergarten teacher wife, hugged me. "Nate's been talking about how much he's missed you." I looked at Nate. He was avoiding eye contact. "Has he?" I asked. The dinner conversation was carefully choreographed. They asked about my job and shared updates about their lives, carefully avoiding any mention of money or recent drama. But I could see the calculation in their eyes, the way they glanced at each other. The conversation kept circling back to their various struggles. Nate mentioned his stressful job and rent increase concerns. Jenna talked about wanting to get her master's degree, but finding the cost intimidating. Dad brought up medication costs. Mom mentioned wanting to renovate the kitchen. It was like a greatest hits album of financial manipulation. Finally, Nate stood up with his wine glass. "I want to make a toast," he said. "To family, to being together again after too long apart." He looked directly at me. Sometimes we get caught up in small things. Sometimes we let pride get in the way of what really matters. But we're family, and family sticks together, even when some of us need a reminder of what that means. They all raised their glasses, looking at me expectantly. I stood up slowly, picking up my black bag. "You're right, Nate. Family is important. And I think it's time we had an honest conversation about what family means." I unzipped the bag and pulled out 7 manila envelopes, placing them on the table. "Before dessert," I said, "I think it's time we review the past decade." The room went silent. "Sarah," Mom said carefully, "what is this?" "It's transparency. It's accountability." I gestured to the envelopes. "Go ahead. Open them." Nate was first. His hands shook as he pulled out bank statements showing every deposit I'd made to his account, $23,000 total. Screenshots from the family group chat where he'd called me selfish and money obsessed. His credit report request using my social security number. And finally, his job application listing unstable family finances as a reason for leaving. Amy gasped. "Nate, what is this? Where did you get this?" Nate asked, his face pale. "I have friends in HR," I said. "I documented you." "There's a difference." Dad opened his envelope to find his power of attorney document stamped, revoked in red ink. "It means you no longer have any legal authority over my life or my money," I explained. Mom's envelope contained the removal of her name from my accounts and a detailed accounting of every gift, including the $800 spa weekend she'd charged to my credit card without asking. Jenna's was the thickest, Financial records plus screenshots of social media posts bragging about her lifestyle while complaining about being broke. I don't understand, Mom said. Why are you doing this? I'm not humiliating you, I said. I'm revealing you. We're your family, Dad said. We love you. Do you? Or do you love my bank account? We've always been there for you, Jenna protested. When? I asked. When have you been there for me? Silence. You've been there for my money, I continued. But you've never been there for me. I reached into my bag for one final document. This isn't just about the past. It's about the future. I handed Mom my revised will. Her face went white. You're cutting us out? I'm cutting myself free. I've removed all family members as beneficiaries. But who gets your money? Jenna asked. People who love me for who I am, not what I have. I pulled out my phone and sent a text. A moment later, there was a knock at the door. David Kim, my lawyer, appeared with a briefcase. Behind him, Robert and Linda Chin stood in the doorway. Good evening, everyone, David said. I'm here to witness the final execution of some revised estate planning documents. I'd like you to meet my godparents, I said. They've been more like parents to me than my actual parents for 15 years. They remember my birthday every year. They came to my graduation. They checked on me when I was sick. The room was silent. They're also the ones who will inherit everything when I die. My house, my investments, my life insurance, my retirement accounts, everything. Sarah, Mom whispered, how could you do this to us? I'm not doing anything to you. I'm doing something for me. We're your family, Dad said desperately. The full quote is the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb, I said. It means the bonds you choose are stronger than the bonds you're born with. I picked up my bag and walked toward the door. Happy birthday, Nate. I hope you got what you wanted. I paused at the threshold. For what it's worth, I did love you. All of you. But I love the people I thought you were, not the people you actually are. I walked out and didn't look back. The aftermath was swift and brutal. I drove straight to Robert and Linda's house, where we sat on their deck drinking wine and watching the stars. How do you feel? Linda asked. Free, I said. Terrified, but free. My phone buzzed continuously. I finally turned it off. The next morning, I found 47 missed calls and 63 text messages. From Mom, please call me. I think there's been a misunderstanding. From Nate, I'm willing to pay you back. All of it. We can work out a payment plan. From Jenna, I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings. Can we please talk? I didn't respond to any of them. But word was spreading. Amy called that evening to apologize. Sarah, I had no idea. I can't think of a single time we've done anything for you without asking for something. She paused. I think I'm going to leave him. Amy filed for divorce 3 weeks later, citing fraud. Nate had lied about his financial situation. The extended family drama was epic. Aunts and uncles called trying to mediate. Cousins reached out on social media. My family had painted me as the villain, the ungrateful daughter who'd abandoned her family over money. Jenna made a Facebook post about family betrayal and blood money, painting herself as the victim. But I'd learned something important. Other people's opinions of me were none of my business. When people asked for my side of the story, I had receipts. I created a simple Google Drive folder with redacted copies of bank statements and screenshots. I didn't share it publicly, just made it available to anyone who asked for context. The story spread. The narrative changed from Sarah abandoned her family to Sarah finally stood up to financial abuse. Nate's reputation at work suffered. Amy's divorce filing became public record. His job application was leaked somehow. Within 2 months, he was unemployed and facing a lawsuit from Amy's lawyer. Jenna's social media complaints backfired when friends started asking pointed questions about her lifestyle. Her attempts to crowdfund emergency expenses fell flat. Mom and Dad were humiliated when their church friends and neighbors learned about their financial dependence on their daughter. But the real revenge wasn't their public humiliation. It was my private peace. The attempts to win me back escalated quickly. 3 weeks later, Dad showed up at my office. He looked terrible, thinner, older, desperate. Sarah, please. We need to talk. Dad, you can't just show up at my workplace. You won't answer your phone. What else am I supposed to do? He followed me to my car, pleading. I'm sorry, okay? We're all sorry, but you can't just cut us out of your life over money. It's not about money, Dad. It's about respect. It's about being treated like a person instead of a resource. We've always respected you. No, you haven't. You've tolerated me as long as I was useful. The moment I set a boundary, you exiled me. We're your family. Family doesn't treat each other the way you've treated me. I got in my car and drove away, leaving him standing in the parking lot. A month later, Mom tried a different approach. She sent a card with a photo of us from my college graduation. Her, Dad, and me smiling at the camera. Inside, she'd written, I found this photo and realized how much I miss my daughter. I'm sorry for everything. Can we start over? I threw the card away. The final attempt came from Nate. He somehow got my work address and sent a certified letter with a check for $1,000 and a note. This is a start. I want to pay you back everything I owe you. Please give me a chance to make this right. I deposited the check and sent him a receipt with a note. $22,000 remaining balance. Payment plan rejected. Please don't contact me again. 6 months later, I was a different person. I'd started therapy to understand how I'd allowed myself to be used for so long. I'd joined a support group for people dealing with financial abuse from family members. I'd started dating again, this time men who were interested in me, not my bank account. I'd also started a blog about setting financial boundaries with family. It went viral in a way I never expected, and I was invited to speak at conferences about financial abuse and family dynamics. My godparents and I had dinner every Sunday. They never asked me for money. They never made me feel guilty for having it. They just loved me for who I was. Robert got sick with cancer that winter. I was able to help with his medical expenses without resentment, without feeling used, because I knew they would have done the same for me. That's what real family looked like. 1 year after the dinner, I got a wedding invitation from Amy, who was marrying a man she'd met in her divorce support group. She included a note. Thank you for showing me what self-respect looks like. I'm finally happy. I never heard from Nate again after that last payment. Through mutual friends, I learned he'd moved across the country and was working at a call center. Jenna had moved back in with my parents, still struggling financially, still looking for someone to rescue her. My parents sent me a Christmas card that year. No note, just their signatures. I threw it away without opening it. 2 years later, I met someone. A kind, successful man who paid for his own dinner and never asked about my bank account. We moved in together, then got married. My godparents walked me down the aisle. My birth family wasn't invited. They found out about the wedding through social media and sent angry messages about being excluded from such an important day. I blocked them all and went on my honeymoon. 3 years after the dinner, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. It was my father. Sarah, your mother is sick. She's in the hospital. She's asking for you. I hung up. He called back immediately. Please, Sarah, whatever happened between us, she's still your mother. No, I said. A mother wouldn't have treated me the way she did. A mother wouldn't have used me and discarded me. A mother wouldn't have chosen money over her daughter's well-being. She loves you. She loves what I could do for her. There's a difference. I hung up again and blocked the number. I never found out what happened to my mother. I never went to the hospital. I never sent flowers or called to check on her condition. Some people would call that cruel. I call it self-preservation. Because I'd learned something important in those 3 years. You can't set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. You can't love people who only love your utility. You can't be family to people who treat you like an ATM. Today, I'm 40 years old. I'm happily married to a man who loves me for who I am. I have a chosen family of friends and godparents who treat me with respect and kindness. I have a career I love and financial security I earned through my own hard work. I also have peace, real peace, the kind that comes from knowing your worth and refusing to accept less than you deserve. My birth family taught me many things over the years. They taught me about manipulation, about conditional love, about the difference between being wanted and being needed. But most importantly, they taught me that sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to walk away from people who don't deserve you. And I've never looked back. Final update. 5 years later, I received a letter from an estate attorney. My father had died, and apparently, I was listed as a beneficiary in his will. He'd left me $500 and a note. I'm sorry for everything. I hope you can forgive us. I donated the money to a charity for financial abuse survivors and threw the note away. Some apologies come too late. Some bridges burn completely. And sometimes that's exactly what needs to happen. I'm still free. I'm still happy. And I'm still proud of the woman I became when I finally learned to put myself first.